Namaste and namaste. Welcome to all out there. This is Awakenings Moments to Inspire. And my name is Angela Stanfield, or Angel with an A, as my dad used to like to call me. Angel, Angela, whatever. I am here with you today, and I can't wait to co create with you this beautiful, wonderful hour. We have so much to dive into today. So many beautiful energies and great topic today of forgiveness. And I just can't wait to dive into it with you all. But just welcome, 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 first of all. And if, for those of you who are just tuning in and you're wondering where we're streaming from, it's onenesstalkradio.com. And we're also at Oneness Talk Radio YouTube and Oneness Talk Radio Facebook. So welcome to all that are out there today. I am just over the moon excited to talk to you today about this topic because I've touched on it before in the past, but it's always good to come back around to it too again, right? So forgiveness is the topic, and for me, totally the name of the game this week. So I don't know about what's going on with the energies out there for you guys, but that is totally the name of the game for me this week. And so I wanted to just touch base again with you guys on it and just to dive in a bit more deeply here. So, so that you can dive in deeply, we have chat going on over at Oneness Talk Radio, YouTube, and Facebook, and everything gets piped right through to me here. So I would be honored if you would like to co-create this hour with me and see where we go from here. It's going to be a fun co-creative day. So in order to do that, I don't have a call board right now, but please, please, please put it in the chat. Interact with me there, interact with each other. I just can't, I love reading your stories. I love reading your insights and just the wonderful sharings that you have over the chat with this community can uplift anybody when they read them. There's always so much love and joy and inclusiveness in them. So yes, please, please go into the chat, interact, and co-create this hour with me today. So where shall we begin first? Well, let's do an Ave Saw breath. That's probably the best way to start anything, right? And so, again, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Ave Saw breath, it is a breath practice technique where you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. But while you're doing so, you're thinking Ave on the inhale and Saw on the exhale. And the Ave is like a release. The Saw is like a release. Ave means hail. So you're saying hail. And what does hail mean? It basically says hello. Hello, and I honor you. And it's a hello of respect. That's what I like to think of hail as. And it's a hello of respect, and that I honor you and who you are and your position. And then there's the Saw, which is the release into the moment. So we're going to think Ave on the inhale, and we're going to exhale with a Saw. And we're going to do this 3 times. And my cat just accidentally turned my printer on. So if you hear some noise, I do apologize. She crawled over top of it and is turning my printer on. So it's going to make some noises here. So we'll do 3 deep Ave Saw breaths just to bring us into the moment, to center us all into this energy together, and we'll be able to create a co-creative moment together of profound and wonderful hour and proportions. So I can't wait. So hand on heart, here we go. Ave. Ave. And one more. Ave. Thank you all for indulging me and doing the Ave Saw breath with me here today. It just helps us ground and center all together into the same energy, and it's just wonderful. So, oh, my kitty's on my notes. Thank you. So today we wanted to dive into the topic of forgiveness, and when I did that, of course, when I'm preparing for today, I want to, my first thing I tend to do is I tend to go into my the ascended numerology and to see what the energy is going to be for today, so that I can help you expand upon that, and so that I can expand upon that too, because we're all in this together, right? So, I always return to my ascended numerology first, and so today is, believe it or not, is absolutely magnificent. Oh no, not believe it or not, it just is. It's a eight. And what is an eight? Well, if you turn an eight, so you've got an eight and you turn it on its side, what does it become? The symbol of infinity. So for me, as I was feeling into this, the eight is the spinning lotus of the angelic infinite energy. So that's what the eight is, the spinning lotus of angelic and infinite energy. And so when I was feeling into it, this is what I was guided to write here today for you. So when you turn the eight onto its side, it is the infinity symbol, and that is the energy of today, infinite. But remember that the expansion and contraction can go both ways. What are you expanding into, or what are you contracting inward on? Breathe. Feel and notice the expansion or contraction, and what that truth is, and what the truth is really trying to tell you. Step forward into this knowledge boldly, for you are protected always and in all ways. Use the infinite energy of the crystalline as the warrior to face your contractions with peace, love, and joy, so that you can expand further than ever before. Anchor into that steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust. And the protection and commitment of the crystalline eight, an infinite energy of the eight. So that's what I had felt into and was called to read off for you today. We're going to do, and what I want to do too, with a little later in the show, if we've got some time before we go, is we're going to call in that energy, that crystalline energy of the eight in our meditation. So I can't wait to do that with you all later today. And so, when I think about forgiveness in the energy of the eight, what is forgiveness really? What type of energy is it really? It's expansion. So when you forgive somebody, all of that rage or pain, whether it be to yourself or somebody else, when you forgive them, you expand out that energy. So it's just a further level of expansion. But when you hold that resentment and that unforgiveness, like, and don't forgive somebody, you can hold it in and contract, and it can cause a contraction on your heart, and you just become more and more resentful. So how can we move forward and move into forgiveness? So I'm just loving, we've got Pauline here. Namaste, Pauline. And Satish, my respects, dear, loving, sweet mama. Please pray for me in ministry in India. We will, Sadish. I am so happy that you're here now and that you're able to join with this wonderful, powerful topic. It is going to be amazing. Yes, to not forgive is the ego. You are correct. And our ego is the one that we like to think it when we, what is the ego? Let's start there. Good one, Pauline. What is the ego? So the ego is basically the lessons that we have learned over society, right? So we have been told what to do and how to live and how to experience by our parents, by our teachers, by our religion, by our priests, or other people. Sometimes our spouses, our friends are also trying to tell us what to do and where to go and how to guide. And all of this stuff builds up a pattern in your body and in your brain and in your mind, basically. And it's your defense mechanism. So it's, you've learned over the years in your society how to run safely in your society. But that doesn't necessarily mean that running safely within the society that you're in also means that it's healthy, right? So we're always trying to, our ego has developed all of these major tricks, I guess, and all of these major ways of keeping you from expressing yourself and seeing yourself and forgiving yourself even more. And because we've become so associated with those lessons and the way we've been folded and manipulated and extended ourselves over our lifetime. And we're just like a little kid when we're a sponge, right? So we just soak up everything. But then all of those mechanisms that we may have learned in order to survive as a child might no longer be working as an adult. And that's where we get all of our things like our distortions, where we're getting into addictions and victimization and feeling like that, right? And nobody wants to do that, but that's your ego, because for it, the best place it can be is in a place of non-change. Let's just stay where we are. We're safe here in our little box. We're not going anywhere, and we'll be fine. But unfortunately, like we were saying, that might not necessarily be conducive to your health mentally, physically, emotionally. You may have to or want to move through your ego and get past that so that you can live a more truthful life to who you really are, as opposed to the programming you've received all of your life from everybody else around you. So it's that negative voice that's in your head that might be nattering off to you about something might not actually have been originally from you, but it's your voice that you're hearing. But it might actually have been an adult in your life, a teacher in your life, somebody when you were a child who said it, and you've internalized that. Because remember, when we're little kids, we're very open and we're very, just like I said, sponges. So we just want to absorb um, everything, so we know what to do and how to live and how to exist in our little family, society, culture. So we want to be able to get back to who we truly are. And so we got to remember that the voice that you're hearing in your head might actually sound like you, but it might not be. And it usually is never, it really usually never, ever is it you. It's just a mechanism of the ego. So the thing is not to fight the ego, because again, we're going to go into the forgiveness component of it. So what do you do with your ego when it's throwing a temper tantrum and doesn't want to change and is making you have panic attacks, or placing you in victimhood, or causing you to contract in whatever way that might be? So what is the mechanism that you can use to get out of there, first of all? And thankfulness is definitely one of them. And forgiveness is the other, for sure. Is saying thanks to, yes, I see this finally. So when you see something in you that you, like your ego or whatever that's triggered you, you just hand to heart and say, thank you for showing me, because now I know and I can do something about it, right? And what is that thing that you need to do? Forgive. So you need to first forgive yourself, right? So when the ego is having that temper tantrum and is making you anxious or depressed or whatever the case may be, forgiveness of that ego for actually causing you to have that is the first step. Because I'm trying to think how we can do this. So if you move forward into any kind of forgiveness without forgiving yourself first, how true is that forgiveness for you? So an example would be, if I have done something that maybe has harmed somebody, and I know and I feel really bad about it, and so I go and I apologize to them, and I've made them feel better, and but I haven't forgiven myself for it. So I'm still carrying, I may have said I'm sorry and I've asked for forgiveness from them, and they might have been forthcoming and giving it to me that kind of situation, which I hope that if we go with steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust, and we stand before that person and we apologize with our truth, they will eventually accept that forgiveness. Sometimes they won't, sometimes they will. But here's the key to that all: you have to forgive yourself, because if you don't, you're still going to be carrying that energy around with you, right? You're going to be wondering, am I going to be, uh, I'm still a bad person. I still have that inside me. So you're carrying around all this pent up energy that doesn't need to be there. And all you have to do is say, thank you. I see it. And no, I'm not a bad person. And I may have said something in the heat of the moment that I didn't mean. And that these are the ego talking, and the culture through which I am living in is talking. It's not me. So that's basically, we've jumped a bit ahead, but I was going to talk about ego here, um, a little bit about what when we're forgiving ourselves, and we're forgiving others on what I would see as more a 3D level. Um, and then what I would think of as the I am presence level. So the I am presence level is that, the 3D level would be you physically forgiving yourself and letting go of that energy, and knowing that you're all divine beings. We're all here to experience. We're all in it together. Together we are better. And that, um, that forgiveness has to come on that kind of physical level, especially when it's with another person. You want to physically go to them with that steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust, and physically apologize if you're able to, if that's within your realm. Sometimes, and I think too, um, with levels of forgiveness, when we're saying if you're able to, there's sometimes you might not be able to. There might be people that have passed on that you're not able to forgive, or in some cases, or that you, because they physically aren't there. But remember that the energy is still always there. So even if you just send that forgiveness out to that person, it neutralizes that energy, past, present, future. Anything that is affected by that energy of you, saying something heinous or doing something mean to another person, or whatever the case may be, or them to you as well, because just remember, it always comes back, can come back to you. You, um, you can neutralize that energy by forgiving yourself and forgiving them. So that's kind of like the physical 3D version of forgiveness that I like to think about. Then there's like the mental forgiveness, which is the ego finally saying to your ego, no, I am okay. We are fine. I'm going to forgive you. Thank you so much for letting me know this information. And I'm going to forgive you for what you've shown to me and what we've expressed and held on to for so long too. And remember, most of this stuff can come from years and years ago, from childhood even, and you might have held on to it and didn't even realize you had it, and that you were holding on to it until you actually let it go. And I have been experiencing that a lot this week, is just little wee tiny self resentments for myself, but even just little resentments of other people in my life, or over the years. Forgiveness is always a great, thankfulness and forgiveness, great way to cleanse yourself and to cleanse your energy. Journal. Do you guys do journal forgivenesses? Like, and when you're journaling, do you write down, you know, what you would, if you're not able to talk to that person right now, just write it down. Again, that writing it down can help you neutralize that energy to start with within yourself. And then maybe once you're radiating that more straight, centered, neutral energy, and it radiates out to that other person might be in a better place in order to forgive you, or in turn might be in a place where they're able to see what they're doing or have done, and are able to come back and say, I forgive you, or please forgive me. And so it's always a two-way street for certain, and it's always, but if you start the process even within yourself, you can affect the situation and the other people, persons, events surrounding it, right? So, especially if you're in the center of it, if you're the center pin and you're willing to forgive yourself and you're willing to forgive others, then that energy can no longer be held up, right? You're like the tent pole in the middle. And if you're willing to forgive, and let it all go, and you pull that tent pole down, then it all just melts. Um, it may not for the other person, or it may not for the other people, but that's their burden to carry, right? We're talking about the energy that you are putting out into the world, the energy that you want to let go of and forgive and give back, or whatever the case may be. So, I'm just going to take a quick drink here. I should take a look at the chat too. There's so many beautiful things there. And I see Gary's there. Namaste, Gary. It's so wonderful to see you. There's so many beautiful children in the world that need so much health, food, and water. Sadish is talking about asking to pray for the children in India. And I would like to expand that even further and just pray for children in India for certain focus, food and water and drink for everybody. And I don't know if for those of you who are familiar with me or followed me, I am a water bearer, so I'm a member of the waterbearers.org. I help raise money for them, and I'm actually working on a book for them too. So, and hopefully I can get Jane on or Aaron on. They're the founders of the Water Bearers. One time, sometime for a show as well. So that would be lovely. But everybody deserves clean, fresh water, food, and love. And respect too, right? I think a lot of people forget about the respect. And that's where I like to say, when we do the Ave Sa breath, is that the Ave, even though it's Latin for hail or hello, it's a hail or a hello of respect. So respect for yourself, respect for the divine, the respect for the person sitting across the table from you. That for me is what hail means. And everybody deserves that level of respect. Gary says, forgive through your heart, surround the situation in love and forgiveness. After that, kick off the situation in the universe. The angels will take it from there. You betcha. Nice football. Now, is that American football metaphor, or is that a British football metaphor, Gary? I'm Canadian, so we do call soccer, but we also call it football. But we also have the CFL, which is the Canadian Football League, which is football. So it can be confusing around here sometimes. Yes, the ego is not good for. Well, we all need the ego in a way. So if we didn't have an ego, we wouldn't be able to. I don't think if I didn't have an ego on a level, I don't think I could sit here and do the show for you all, right? So on some level, I've got to be able to know who I am, and know what I'm capable of in the past and moving forward, so that I know that I can do this, right? So your ego is kind of the bearer of those memories, thoughts, I guess. For me anyway, this is my own take on the situation. And so your ego is kind of still needed, right? And Shri and Kira, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's from the Yoga of Self Ascension. I follow the Yoga of Self Ascension, and my teachers are Shri Wisdom Teacher Shri Ram Ka and Master Lady Kira Ra. And if you wanted to know a little bit more about them, you can go to shriandkira.com, SRI and Kira, KIRA.com. And they've got some wonderful lessons about the ego in them. So we kind of do need a level of egoic energy, I guess, just to go out and do things. And it's going to happen because we're here, right? Or we're walking around in this lovely little, what I like to call a meat suit. I know that's a little gross sometimes, but I like to call it a meat suit. And the beauty of this suit, that it gives you, and love your suit because your suit is part of you for certain. But walking around in this meat suit, you still kind of do need an ego. So I used to do, and for example, me being able to do this show. Um, I used to do a lot of theater and a lot of public speaking back in my younger years, but I had never come forward to be myself. Do you know what I mean? I was always playing a role, or I was always, I had um, a goal in mind for whatever it is that I was doing. But for this, I was, how do I know that I can do this? Come here on live every week for an hour at a time, and to just talk to you about what's in my heart, or to help you, to help give voice to other people who want to come on and talk about their heart and what they're doing in the world. So that was how Awakenings, Moments to Inspire, was birthed. Because I decided that yes, I really do want to speak my truth. I really do want to be able to stand up there and be able to put my flagpole in and say, I am here, right? I am ready. I am open. Guide me. And I couldn't have done that without my ego and without my knowing that I know I can get up in front of people, that I know I'm not too bad at public speaking. I can get by. So you there don't completely destroy the ego or get rid of it just yet. Forgive the ego, because remember, your ego is almost like a little child. Your ego is was birthed in your first 0 to 7 years. You learned how to live in your society, because those are the years, that we are sponges and that we just absorb. We don't really have any kind of thinking processes. It's more an absorption of what's going on. And then we start going to school and we start having more of the don't do this, don't do that, you are this, you are that, this is there. And that's what creates our ego. But if we can go back to that child and we can say to them, and that ego that was hurt as that child, and say to them, I know that was kind of scary, or that was kind of bad. But we're not there now, right? We're we're here. Look at us. Look at us. Look at the amazing stuff we've made. And trust me, kid, when it gets better, and don't worry, we get through this, right? Because now you've passed that point. So I always like to think of my ego as a small child who's having a bit of a meltdown. He is either afraid or is, well, usually the ego is afraid. That's what it does. That's its mechanism, I guess. It's catalyst. That's a good word. Catalyst. But your ego is a young child, and there's no way I'm going to scold a young child for reacting or doing something or being afraid of something. And so that's how I think of my ego as. And so rather than trying to bury it, or some people say kill it, I try to love it and forgive it. Right? Because you're saying, thanks, kid. Thanks for showing me that. I didn't even remember that. Thank you for showing me that. And reassure you. And I literally, when I'm in meditation, will have these conversations with my younger self. I don't know about you guys, if that's something you guys do or not, but it's certainly something that I like to do. Is And that way it helps me remember that we all have our pain and we all have our traumas. And this goes back to, again, just look more from a I am presence kind of moment. For me, I had uh, I had a moment when I was in my youth. Actually, I brought this in case I used it today. But when I was little, my very first episode that I did, I explained all of this, but I'll just quickly explain it again. So when I was little, I had a child's version of a Bible, and it was beautiful. It was a big book, multicolored pages, and I was able to read at a very young age. So for me, and I lived in the country, so I didn't have a lot of playmates, and I was the oldest, so I didn't have a lot of, my siblings were still a bit younger than me. So I literally spent hours and hours in my basement, just poring over this brightly colored book with all of these beautiful stories and beautiful pictures in it. And I really, as I got older, I loved that book. I read it all the time. And even when I was turning 10, 11, 12, I still loved that book. And I read it constantly. And I really felt a connection with Jesus and with Mary, and Mother Mary. And I was absolutely enthralled. But then as I got older, my love for Jesus and Mary, and I wouldn't even say Christianity, kind of faltered because I was not into fundamental religion and that kind of thing. I was more a spiritual person, and that was what I got out of what I was reading as a child. So when I went into an actual church and found out the much more fundamental way of thinking, I was like, okay, this isn't the energy that I know and that I feel and understand. So I'm going to not do this anymore. I'm going to go back. But then I'm also a little bit older. You start getting, you're wanting to prove, your ego comes into play right there. Your ego comes into play, and you're wanting to prove, well, no, this is not who Jesus is. This is who Jesus is. Just Jesus is this energy, the Christ energy. And so for me, it was a lifelong journey of finding Christ again and finding where we kind of lost him. And so I became a student of history and a student of religion to a certain extent. And I literally went on a lifelong quest to try and find that energy again. So I was kind of bowled over yesterday when I was meditating on preparing for this show, and I was actually called. This is a way of proving that I never let it go completely. I kept my little copy, and I do have another copy too, of the Bible, but I kept my old copy of the New Testament and Psalms, and from when I was a kid. And it literally, I don't know if you can see it. It literally, there's my old address from when I was a kid. Don't live there anymore, so I'm not worried about it. But oh my God, even the old telephone number there. But this I had and I loved until I was 12. So I was like, okay, why am I being called to go in there, right? And pull this out, because it's not something I've done in many, many years. And I literally pulled it out and I opened it. And I opened it up to Luke. And I opened it up to Luke 3. Literally, it was at the very bottom, chapter 17, verse 3 through 4. Be on your guard. So this is Jesus talking to his disciples. Be on your guard. If your brother sins, rebuke him. And if he repents, forgive him. And if he sins against you 7 times a day and returns to you 7 times saying, I repent, forgive him. And so I saw that. It just leapt off the page. And so when I saw that, I was like, I haven't lost the Christ energy. The Christ energy is still here and still within us and still within me. And it's just as it is within all of you, right? I'm just seeing all of these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful all these beautiful sharings. Hi, Elizabeth. So wonderful to see you. Gary says here, I forgave just like I said. And for 3 days straight, all day I worked on forgiving everyone and everything I could remember. Every day I felt 50 pounds lighter. Each day literally felt like I felt the weight go. Exactly. It does. It just weighs you down, right? Just weighs you down. Sadish is talking about wanting to put together a Zoom prayer meeting. I don't know if that's anything anyone would like to do. I would maybe, Sadish. We do have global, globalsilentminute.org, and we can all do this today. At globalsilentminute.org is an organization led by Dot. I want to say Maynard, but I can't remember if that's her last name. I know her first name's Dot. So go to globalsilentminute.org. There we go. I got it. globalsilentminute.org. And what they do at 9 p.m. every night around the world, everybody stops at 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So for me here in the eastern part, central eastern part of Canada, for me it's Eastern Standard Time. So it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon for me. And again, for anybody who's over in Eastern Standard Time, you're leaving your work, you're getting ready to go. All you got to do is turn off your computer and stop for 1 minute and just open yourself up to that energy that's being put out into the world of peace, love, and joy. And it's 1 minute around the world. Everyone stops and be silent and just project out that peace, love, and joy for 1 minute. And Sadish, I'm going to add my energy and thoughts about today into my Global Silent Minute, and I would encourage everyone else out there to do so. Is all of the children, Sadish is asking for all of the children in India, and I'm also saying around the world, food, water, help them out there. We are better together. Just think of us coming together here, and then anybody else who watches this show afterwards, the energy that we can just keep projecting and building and building and building. So again, I would encourage you all to go to the globalsilentminute.org website, and you'll find out all the particulars there on it for sure. Let's see. Namaste, Bhatia. It's so wonderful to see you all here. It's been such a great, oh my goodness, it's almost 22. It's been such a great hour long here. I just wanted to speak a little bit more to the I am presence version, the I am presence level of forgiveness would be a better way of saying it. Or the, as we like to talk, the third dimension, the fifth, seventh, ninth. So we're coming from more a seventh level of, and higher, much higher, free of judgment and compassion and love. And when as a student of history, I searched the world over and over and over again, just trying to find out what happened. And in a nutshell, I would basically put it at, for the last 5,000, definitely ramping up the last 2,000 years, it's become very egoic and very masculine. But everybody that is here physically on this beautiful planet called Gaia, remember, we're all sitting in that soup. All of this soup has been building energy surrounding Gaia for thousands of years, right? So we're all sitting in this soup of fear and pain and war and famine and, survival of the fittest. And because that's the way we thought it was. And we're beginning to learn that, no, it's not survival of the fittest. It's more about cooperation between species. A very quick example. When a lion goes after a herd of wildebeests, they don't go after the strong ones that can reproduce, right? They go after the young or the old and very sick. So they are keeping the web in motion by taking away the sick, but still allowing the adults to grow and to produce and to keep going. That's kind of cooperation. And at the level that the animals are at, they're not really, yes, they feel pain, and yes, they feel love, and I have animals and I love them and they love me for sure. But they don't hang on to that. They don't hang on to that resentment and frustration and anger and all the things that we need to forgive, right? So animals really forgive very easily. And I think we need to take a lesson from that, because it's all about cooperation. And if we've all been soaking in the same soup our whole lives, our parents have been soaking in it, our grandparents, our great grandparents, this is all energy that just intergenerational trauma that just builds up and builds up and it builds up and then piles higher on our individual egos. So just because something's been this way for hundreds of years doesn't necessarily make it right, right? just because you're managing to keep it together and move forward with your life doesn't mean you're doing so in a healthy manner. So I am presence, and forgiveness comes very easily to me when I think of that, because I'm able to realize, okay, I've had this level of trauma for me, and everyone else is in their own levels of trauma, plus the soup that we've built up over multi-generations. No wonder we're at the state that we're in right now, which is the world kind of expanding and contracting. Back to the ape, back to the crystalline. And so when you're contracting, though, the people that are contracting, they're not necessarily seeing that and using the contraction and saying, oh, okay, things are getting a little out of hand out here. I want to change. See, the joy of the expansion and contraction, or if you want to put it into simple terms, good and bad, that positive, negative, is you need the negative in order to know what the positive is. You need the lack of rain to know that you are thirsty and that you want rain. So up, you need up to know down, you need left to know right. So again, knowing that, I can look around and say at some of the most heinous things in history and say, okay, it's difficult. I understand. And I understand where they're coming from and the lives that they led, and that they were that 0 to 7 child absorbing their culture, their community, their sponge. And what did that sponge teach them? What did that sponge mold them into? And who are they trying to become now? And from there that's how I like to move forward with my response. So if, for me, steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust, but also in myself and what I'm able to bring to the other person. So if their ego is so negative and so contracting that you can't be around them, yes, you can forgive that person and then forgive yourself and just don't be around them, right? You have that option. But how do you forgive them? By looking at who they truly are, just as you look at who you truly are. You are truly this beautiful spiritual being who's here on their own journey, absorbing their own energies and the sponge around them, and learning their own lessons and what they need to accomplish here, because we've all chosen to come here, right? We've all chosen to be here at this moment in time. So we're wanting to remember that when we're looking at somebody and judging them or wanting to forgive them, even, is who is this person really in front of me? And are they fulfilling themselves? And am I fulfilling who I am? Going back to being the teacher, mentor, healer in this situation, and decide, are you any of these, or are you the rescuer, abuser? And I can't remember what the last one is. Oh my goodness. So, and if so, you use that to expand yourself and forgive yourself and give thanks to that person, and then just walk away. But again, your energy is now clear, good, and that will help that person, like I was saying in the beginning, with that energy is no longer oppressing, like your energy is no longer oppressing them. So if you can pull your energy back, forgive yourself, and forgive the situation, that leaves less around that person who's struggling with their own lessons and life, and they're here for a reason. Another way I like to look at it too is I like to rejoice in the fact that they are living the life that they want and the outcome that they wanted. So even if it's bad, even if bad, air quotes, um, even if it's negative, those people they came here to live this for a reason, either to be a mirror for me or or um, a mirror for themselves, right? And so they can learn their own lessons. So there's nothing really to forgive. We're all in it together. Pauline says, duality served its purpose, but its original source was pure love. Let's get back to that. Yes, I like that ASAP. Yep, let's get back to love. But also remember, shadow is also shades of love. So your duality, um, a lot of people think of that duality and that negative shade as being less than love, but it actually is love. Because it's showing you what you want and what you don't want. It all is love, and I know it never seems like that for a lot of cases, especially when you're in the kettle being run through the ringer. But it all stems from love, and even the people that did the most heinous things in their lives were doing it usually for a reason, and their reasons might be warped. Their reasons might be um, definitely not moral, but on some level inside of their head, they think that they're doing something right for themselves, right for somebody else, and or with love. Even the most horrible dictators in life, that's just the way it is. That's what the yoga of self-ascension has help me to see. Um, and so I can kind of look at their lives. I gave this example last week. I don't normally watch a lot of news, but I did watch some news, and it wasn't grand news by any means, but the reporter who was giving the story, he held such enthusiasm for the topic. You could tell he just loved it. And going out there and reporting bad things happening all the time, or different things happening would definitely not be my cup of tea, because I wouldn't want to be in that level of three-dimension all the time. But for him, he was loving it. And so I thought, holy moly. All these reporters and journalists and media out there that were seen to be the bad person in life and out there in society right now. I was just watching this guy, and he was having so much fun, and he was just beaming, and I knew there you couldn't you couldn't judge this person, you couldn't do anything, but just bask in his joy and love of who he was in that moment. And so for me, that also can make forgiveness a little bit easier, is when you can see that person, even if you don't necessarily like them, you can see them in some avenue of their life in the capacity that they're here for, and that they love what they're doing. You can just see the joy emanating from them. And again, that energy can help them lift, expand, right? So forgiveness is an expansion tool, whether it's for yourself or with other people. Elizabeth wrote here, our lungs expand and contract to draw in life force. Absolutely. Our God selves is our life force. Like our God self, like the prodigal son, are drawn over lifetimes to experience both lightness and darkness. Exactly. I have been shown my own shadow and love. Exactly. And that's where it goes back to when you are shown your own shadow, when your ego does show you that shadow and you're able to catch it and realize what it's done, or what it's trying to do, you can give thanks and you can forgive it, because it is just trying to do its job, but you know that you are the one that is in the driver's seat, and that you are the higher self is the one that's in control. So we have got very little time left, only about 6 minutes. I can't believe this hour went by way, way, way too fast. So what I wanted to do was just, this is part of, if you do, if you would like to have an ascended numerology scroll, if you ever want to have that done, there's also several exercises that we usually go hand in hand with the various lessons and that the scrolls can open up for you. And one of the lessons is with the crystalline energy of the eight. So I wanted to do a very similar version of that for our meditation. We'll do it very quietly and easily and within 5 minutes. So what I would like you to do is everyone just get yourself comfortable. I'm just going to get yourself comfortable. I want to do this with our eyes open this time, if you can. If you are able, if you have house plants, plant on your office desk, plants, trees outside, anything like that. And then if I would love for you to go and be where you are able to see that. For those of you who can't, just simply close your eyes and imagine a beautiful tree or plant or flower in front of you. And what I would love to do is we're going to focus on that energy. I'm going to close my eyes because unfortunately I don't have any trees within sight where I am at the moment in the studio. So I'm just going to close my eyes and go forward from here. But we want to just focus on that plant, and as it see it as the crystalline energy that it is. Understand and know that down to the finest, most minute level of existence, it is crystalline energy. And see that crystalline energy just emanate out from every cell and fiber of every leaf, of every branch, of every stem, of every petal. See that crystalline light just take over the plant. You see the crystalline light of the plant. The plant is the crystalline light. Expand it out from there. Move it out into the room, out into the area that you're in, to the outside. Look at everything around you. See it. See the light. See how it turns into this crystalline energy. It's almost like the matrix and the green numbers and slides that come down, but it's like crystalline. It's that crystalline energy. Envision it like that it's just coming down in waves, and everything is made of it. Every plant, every animal, every molecule, every bit of existence is pure crystalline energy. And then you are crystalline. The plants, the sky, everything without limit. Let go of all that would choose to hold you back. Experience the limitless of crystalline being as one with all. Just let that crystalline energy flow through you and carry it into the day with you today. Take it with you. And if you have a moment, try and sit with another plant or an animal and just bring in their crystalline energy. See them as that crystalline energy just coming down and then lighting them from the inside out. That's what the energy of the eight is calling to you for today. Before we go, I just wanted to say thank you again to everybody for co-creating this wonderful hour with me. I wanted to remind you all of the new moon ceremony that I will be holding on the 27th. It'll be at 7 o'clock. For those of you who are interested in that, I will put up my email address. It's waterloveandlight@gmail.com. And you can go there and send me an email request, and I'll put you on the list to go out. It's a Zoom meeting, so it'll be a closed Zoom meeting. And if you want on the list, just email me there, waterloveandlight@gmail.com. And if you've already sent me an email for a previous new moon ceremony, I will already be automatically sending you a Zoom link. There we go. The Zoom link for you to be able to join in. So it's going to be at 7 o'clock on the 27th, which is Saturday, and it's going to be a new moon. And we're going to basically, we just discuss and share what we've birthed in the previous month and what we are wanting to birth and are looking forward to birthing in the month ahead. I open with an Indigenous story as well. So it's just about sharing in the community, coming together and being together together we are better, steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust. So until next, well, for those of you who would like to show up at the new moon ceremony, I can't wait to see you there. But for those of you who are unable to attend, I can't wait to be with you again next week. Thank you so, so much for this wonderful co-creative hour, and we'll see you again next week. Namaste.